Hi there.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jordan.
Yes.
Hi, Matt with Fastenal.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Mind if I take a seat?
Absolutely.
Great. So how you doing today, Jordan?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Just kind of dealing with the everyday
Everyday
hurdles, right?
Right, yeah, I totally understand it. I feel the same way. So Jordan, as I said, my name is Matthew Martin, and I'll be your Fastenal account representative.
Okay.
Here's my business card, and Jordan, my mobile phone number is on here for a reason. Feel free to contact me at any time moving forward
Okay.
after this meeting. Any questions or anything like that you have?
Okay.
And Jordan, if I can ask you, what do you know about Fastenal?
Decent amount. We currently use you guys. We kind of went through a whole process about 6 months ago for safety, PPE, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we have your vending machines in our facility.
Correct.
For those.
Great.
But other than that, that's about all I know.
Okay. Well, if I could actually just give you a quick overview here. This is what I like to refer to unofficially as the Fastenal iceberg, or more officially, the machine behind the machine.
Okay.
And what this means is, Jordan, what you're seeing today of me is just 10% of Fastenal. The other 90% of Fastenal is the resources I have access to help you do what you do better. And so some things like that would be, I'm one of 20,000 employees.
Okay.
We have 2,400 branches across the nation, a very local footprint. And we're a $4 billion company. And so the way we kind of wrap this all up is we like to say, we are where you are. Jordan, I'm only 10 minutes away. I'm in the Morgantown Industrial Park just across the river.
Yeah.
And so I'm really close to you. But like you said, you have our vending machines. We have over 71,000 vending machines installed in our customers' business. We are doing business where they are doing business.
Yeah.
We are where you are.
Yeah.
So does that kind of help you understand a little bit more
Yeah,
about what we
absolutely.
do?
That gives me a much broader scope of what you guys do.
Yeah, great. Okay. And so what I'd like to do now is maybe just ask you some questions, get a clear understanding of your situation. So does that sound all right with you?
Absolutely.
All right. And if I could just run through some relevant facts, make sure my information's correct. So you've been in operation since 1966. You have a couple of different lines of boats, $500 million in annual sales, 250 employees, and then recent increase in demand. So you've been doing some projects.
Yeah, you guys did your research.
Yeah, does that all look correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And if I could ask you some questions about your facility, just to get an idea, what is the square footage of the facility?
It's roughly 150,000.
Okay, so a pretty big facility. How many lines do you have in that 150,000 square feet?
Let me think here. We just added one, so 8, I believe.
8 lines, okay. And do you have a central parts crib
Yes.
that is everybody's going
Yep,
to?
storeroom.
Okay.
Yep, we have a storeroom.
Okay, you have a storeroom. All right. And then you might not know the exact number, but do you have a ballpark figure of how many SKUs you're using on each of these product lines?
Let me think. As far as the different, what kind of SKUs are you talking about?
Just like specific SKUs that you're using on the boats you're manufacturing. So maybe like fasteners and nuts
Okay, so
and
you're looking
bolts
for fasteners. You're not looking for raw material. You're just looking for the fasteners.
Right, like fasteners and kind
I'd
of
say about
bulk
300.
items.
About 300.
300 SKUs?
300
Okay.
different SKUs.
So a pretty good amount there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, Jordan, are you the main decision maker today? Is there someone else we should keep in mind moving forward?
No, well, it's mainly me, but I have to go to my boss as well. I mean, as everybody does.
Sure.
But that would be Dan. Dan would be my boss.
Dan, okay.
And he's going to be a contributing factor to this.
All right, and what's his title?
He is the VP of Supply Chain.
VP of Supply Chain. All right, so I'll definitely keep that in mind moving forward. And then when you're making a decision regarding your inventory management solutions, what are maybe the top 1 or 2 criteria that need to be there in that solution for you to accept that product into your production?
We need to, my boss tells me every day. He reminds me every morning. But shipping, freight, and price. That's pretty much, he reminds me every morning. Just need to have a recorder of it, save him some time.
Okay, so the price of the overall solution and then how much it costs for it to get to you, basically?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sounds great. I'll definitely keep that in mind as we move forward. And so, Jordan, if I could just ask you, what are the top 1 or 2 problems you're experiencing regarding your inventory management solution right now?
Again, freight costs would definitely be the number one that I'm seeing, but as well as if we're paying as much as we are for shipping, you'd hope to get it on time.
Right.
But I'd say the other inconsistent deliveries.
Oh, okay.
That would definitely say that's the top 2 for us right now.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like you're doing a lot of like maybe expedited orders and those things to get into your branch.
Yep.
What is the reason that's happening? What's kind of the group behind
So what the process is right now is our supervisors send me a rec, and then I put that order in for that rec for the fasteners, and so with our current supplier, they will UPS it to us, but with lead times and whatnot, sometimes we're stocked out, and if we're stocked out of a SKU, that's preventing us from shipping on time.
Okay. So stockouts happen, and then there's a whole process where, now people have to come and, bring you this, PO, and you're cutting that. So
yeah,
it eats
we're
up a lot of
sending
time,
somebody
more
out
money.
to we're out of this fastener, so now we got to send somebody out to a local supplier.
To another store even, yeah. Okay,
Yep.
wow. All right, and then how many of these stockouts would you say happen on a weekly basis? I mean, is this a pretty frequent?
I'd probably maybe say 5 a week.
Oh wow, 5 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're having 5 stockouts a week. How often, or I guess, how much is like a PO when you cut a PO, like to order more things?
Do you mean like how much am I buying on each PO, or what do you mean by that?
Just if you could give me like a quantifying value of how much you think the whole process of like ordering something
Oh,
will
so the whole
cost.
PO process.
Yeah, I mean like
Industry average is about $75. We've never done a time study on that.
yeah.
But I would say probably about $100.
Okay, so about $100, and this is
Pretty easy
happening.
math, yeah.
Yeah, and this is happening. You said probably like
5 times.
five times a week. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. 5 times $100. All right. You also mentioned inconsistent like delivery.
Yep.
You know, how does it? What's the implication for your like process in the
So
production line?
If we don't have deliveries and we don't have inventory on that in our storeroom, we're totally out of stock, and that's why we send people out to get inventory,
Okay.
because that will stop a boat from going out the door.
So
and-
dead stop on production,
Bingo.
like everything comes to a halt.
Yep.
Okay, and you know what are the problems that come from production stopping? I mean, what effect does that have on your business?
Oh, 100%. It's significant, because then we're not meeting orders, and we're getting calls from our vendors, you know, who are trying to sell our product, expecting it's cost. So their lead time change is directly impacting our lead time changes,
Right.
and preventing us from getting boats out the door.
All right. Has there ever been a time where like your relationship with the customer has been strained because of this? I mean, is that a problem or?
Not yet.
Okay, right.
But thankfully not yet.
But certainly not
But
yet.
yeah, I mean, everyone's pretty understandably, and we've been doing business with these suppliers since 1966. But so we have a really good relationship with them. So it hasn't really caused that yet, but it definitely is inconvenient, to say the least, when we can't hit what we promised because of a supplier not giving us what they promised.
Absolutely, I understand that. And so, you know, Jordan, what would the value be if I told you, you know, we're able to provide you with a solution where stockouts decrease by 97%, and you don't have to worry about, you know, taking up time and money to, you know, get these orders in and expedite shipping? I mean, would you see the value in that? to your
Absolutely,
operations?
yeah.
Okay,
Well, I
great.
guess my question would be, what do you have in mind?
Well, actually, that's right about I'm going to go into now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was just asking some questions to get a better idea of your solution, but you've given me a lot. You know, we talked about the shipping; it's inconsistent. The time you're spending sending guys to pick up parts when you go to stockouts, and I guess what I would say to that is, you know, I was actually down in your warehouse, and I asked
I
someone.
know
if I
that
could,
too well.
right, I asked someone if I could take a picture of your parts crib, and you know, this is a really traditional thing. You see this all the time.
Yeah.
But it has its problems. It's manual. It requires a lot of touches. It's not as cost effective as something like vendor managed inventory solutions. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. And I think it'd be a great fit for you. So what's great about industrial lending is we can actually reduce your consumption and spending, improve productivity, but also we can eliminate some of that order processing you talked about, the headache of, you know, sending guys out to pick up orders, and then the whole process of you like getting all these sheets, filling that out, expediting shipping.
Yep.
All of that can go away.
Yep.
And so the specific option that I have in mind for you, I actually have right here, and this is our 10,000 SL vending machine.
Okay.
And it's kind of a drawer system. It probably looks like, you know, any chest or drawer you have at home. But this is actually a very intelligent machine. And so just a general overview of how this works. There's supporter user access. So the employees down on the line will walk up to this, and they'll either put in like a code or swipe an ID card, and that will give them access to certain drawers in the machine that you allow them to have access to. It's really intuitive. You open up the drawer, you take whatever parts you need, you get back to work. There's not a lot of time wasting. You don't have to send guys walking all the way to the parts crib. I mean, you have a 150,000 square foot facility. I mean, minutes matter, and you know,
Absolutely.
the time it takes for them walking back and look, you know, through all these bins for what it needs, it's easier to kind of just consolidate that into one space.
Okay.
And then so it's kind of to point to specifically what we talked about. I know one of the major things you're talking about is the inconsistent time that it takes people to, you know, send you the supplies when you have stockouts and those things. And so what's great about this is in all of these drawers, what we have is scales in all these little compartments that weigh how much of the bulk parts you have in each compartment.
Okay.
So what happens is when you take a certain amount of these parts out, this machine will send that information to an online report that both you and I have access to. And what that tells us is it kind of sends us a ping and it says, hey, like they're getting low on this, you need to get in there and refill it.
Mhm.
Okay, and so you don't have to worry about stockouts happening anymore because, as I said, we're really close. We get that ping, we come over, we refill all your supplies. You don't even have to worry about the stockout. Now you're not sending guys running to get parts. You're not making these orders. That headache goes away. So could you see the benefit in that kind of a system? To
Yeah, I could. I guess one of my questions was, how can you fit 300 different SKUs into that machine?
Right. So the style that we use is actually a Japanese Kanban style. You might know it as lean production.
Yeah.
And so what we'll actually do is we'll probably put maybe one or two of these machines next to each one of those 8 production lines.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so the way I like to describe it is sort of like taking your central storage room or parts crib, and we're dispersing all those SKUs to the appropriate production line. And so they're right there. Like your guys can just open the drawer. They put it on the boats. Once again, no walking back and forth. It's right there. It's hands-on. It's intuitive.
Okay.
So does that sort of clear up your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you think this model right here would work for the 300 SKUs that we have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is our bulk vending machine. So
Okay.
when we're working with bulk parts and a lot of SKUs,
Perfect.
like
I
you
was
mentioned,
about to say, because that's what the thing is. In my mind, I'm thinking we hand out thousands of certain SKUs, and
right?
that's why I wanted to make sure that was actually going to fit our need and our usage.
Absolutely. And so I also want to talk to you a bit about, the quantifying value that you brought up to me about the POs and those sorts of things. So this, it's about $100 every time you have to cut one of those, not even including the time it takes to send guys out and, grab stuff. That happens 5 times a week. So that's $500 a week that you're, is coming out of your pocket. But then on top of that, there's lost time. You even told me production has to stop, and it puts a strain on other people's timelines in the production process, and that's a really big problem. And so obviously the stockouts can help with that. But what I see here is there's kind of just some money that is being spent on these issues that doesn't really need to be spent. And so what's great about this machine is I think it's a very cost-effective solution to what you're talking about.
Okay.
So there's no capital expenses to this machine, which is great. The machine doesn't cost you anything. The delivery doesn't cost you anything. The installation, the training for that online report I was talking about, all of this, it's not a cost to you. And so the only costs that come to you is you spend $40 a month on each machine to have access to those reports.
Same as we have now with the current machines, right?
Okay, yes, that's the exact same thing. And then we ask that you do about $2,000 in total spending
that
for all
shouldn't
those
be a
parts.
problem at all.
And, you have a pretty big facility.
Yeah, with
here.
the fasteners, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Right. So the way I see it is, this is a cost-effective solution. You're not throwing money at those shipping costs, those expedited costs. We have a local footprint. We can get this stuff out to you on time when you need it. No surprises.
And that was going to be my question was, would you guys house extra inventory of those 300 SKUs at the local facility for these machines?
Right. So in each facility, we have sort of like a customized inventory based on the customers we have and like the region around us. And we usually have millions, sometimes even pretty close to like $1 billion worth in like some of our larger storehouses.
Yeah.
And so anytime you need something, there's a very good chance we can just run it over to you real quick. If it does need to be expedited, because of that local footprint we have, it's very easy for us to reach out and say, hey, can you give us 100 of these? Jordan needs these. They can send it to us usually within the day.
That's
and
awesome.
so you don't have to stop that production when you're talking about.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess one other question would be the lead times for filling these machines. Let's say we go on a high usage time frame. What would be the response time on refilling those back up so that we are not stocked out?
For us to get back out to you?
Yeah.
As I said, we're only 10 minutes away, so we can be out pretty quickly. We get a ping pretty much right away because it's 100% accurate measure with that scaling system, and we can just swoop right by, drop it off. Usually it's on a schedule, so usually we have a pretty good idea of when you're running low on things, so we'll be by maybe weekly or something.
Okay.
Does that kind of clear up your concern about that?
Absolutely. So I guess what would be the next step? What do you need for me to get a proposal back on what exactly we would be looking at?
Right. So, Jordan, I know you said, you have to talk to some other people, but I do have some options maybe we can look at today. One thing you could try is a 30-day pilot. This would just be one machine you can put on one of the production lines, test it out, see how it runs. We have specialists help, kind of implement that into your production so you don't have to stop production or anything like that.
Okay.
But, that's something we could try. Would that maybe be of interest to you?
It might be. I guess we were looking at more of a all or nothing scenario, because I don't know if one machine would be enough for just one line.
Absolutely.
It would be kind of like, we want to do all the lines at once or keep it the way it is.
Okay, well, Jordan, what I usually do with customers your size then is I say, let's put 2 machines on each line. We can start giving these benefits to you right away. And as I said, we can help you implement that into your process. Would that be of interest to you?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's my question is what would the next step be for that?
So the next step, I think, is why don't we get Dan in and we can have a meeting with him. We can all talk about that, make sure he's okay with it, and then we can start working on those multiple machines right away. How does that sound to you?
Perfect. Works for me.
All right, so how about same time next week? You think that's good?
Yeah, that works for me.
Great, Jordan. Thank you so much. And
I
I'll be in
appreciate
touch with you moving
Thank you very
forward.
much. Okay.